It is that time again for another episode of the podcast, bringing you guys all the latest in Minot sports news and information. This is the Minot Sports Podcast, now showcasing number 2 of the MSU Coaches Series. As always, the Minot Sports Podcast is brought to you by KMSU TV and Radio. Give the podcast and KMSU some follows on our social media pages on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and sub to the YouTube channels. So let's get right into it. For this coach, I would think with as large a size of a team roster here on campus, he's probably on his toes a lot, helping out many by using his coaching expertise in the world of cross-country track and field. Joining us now on the podcast is MSU head coach for cross-country track and field, Mark Delmonico. Coach Mark, I'm stoked to have you on the podcast here. How's it going for you lately?
Well, thanks for having me. It's going great. I'm glad the weather has warmed up here the last couple of days. So,
I see the team's all well and active outside, like you said, the weather's all nice going on, and there's not a day that goes by where you don't see the team still training as hard as they are running around campus or just within city limits. I think many of you guys, the listeners, can attest to this. If you are on Minot State campus, there's always going to be at least one group running. But with that said, just give us the inside scoop of the team as of right now, and how are they all doing, and what's the status for all of those that are involved?
yeah, so we returned a little bit later this August than we normally would have. They moved in about a week before school started. Normally it would have been about a week and a half. And we've been out and about in training, as you said, throughout town and just on the outer city limits. The team's doing great. We have our biggest roster ever on the cross country and track and field size. We have about 23 distance runners, and we have almost 60 track and field athletes. So we're super excited about that. The cross country kids, they've been super motivated. We've had some really good workouts, really encouraging, with seeing the results from those workouts and things like that. In addition, I think our team culture and the excitement of just being back on campus, them being around their teammates. We have a lot of new people, and so them getting to know the freshmen getting to know the returners, things like that. So it's brought some life back into me, I guess, after March, and COVID hit, and we had to all go home and things like that. I'm used to being quite busy about 10 months out of the year, so to go 6 months with just sitting around the couch or going into the office and doing paperwork, I'm glad to be out there, every day with them.
Some encouraging signs so far, and we'll get more into the team in a little bit here, but just tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of get the fans familiar with you and the architecture that you bring to this Minot State cross country track and field team.
Yeah, so I was born in Seoul, South Korea, and I was adopted when I was 6 months old. So I grew up in New Jersey, Scotch Plains, New Jersey, just outside New York City, about 20 minutes. I went to St. Joseph's High School in Metuchen, New Jersey. For the people up here, I think you probably know about Carl Anthony Towns. He and I went to the same high school. He's a bit younger than me. And then I was fortunate to go on and compete collegiately in cross country and track at LaSalle University in Philadelphia. So was there from 2006 to 2011. And then from there, I moved on to Boulder, Colorado. Had a great opportunity to continue running after college. So pursued kind of running on the professional level for about 2 years. It was a great experience. I tell people all the time, I wouldn't take it back for the world, even though I wasn't making the most money. I was kind of just getting by, but I met, all my running heroes, if you will, and got to train alongside them and even race some of them. And I equated to, how many people get to step on the basketball court and play one-on-one with, LeBron James or Michael Jordan. I got that same opportunity. So during my time in Colorado, I got into coaching. My story is a little bit different. It was just kind of right place, right time type of situation when I was living in Boulder, and started coaching at Metro State in downtown Denver. I was there for 3 years, and then I was coaching part-time and still working another job on the side. And I knew I wanted to coach, as a full-time gig and kind of make it a career. So I began pursuing, full-time coaching jobs. And I got a job at Cal State East Bay. I was there for 18 months, and then I've been at Minot since 2018.
Mark's seen it all, and the more you know, so lots of background to Coach Mark. And how do you keep the guys in a positive environment with the team in light of all that has gone down?
Yeah, so I attribute a lot of it to them. I think we have, as I said earlier, some really good team culture, a really good training atmosphere. So a lot of our men and women, I think, are just super supportive of each other. If someone has a bad day, whether it be a workout or a run, there's always someone there to pick them up. We've really stressed just looking at the positives and controlling what we can control. So whether that's following protocols or, wearing masks, things like that, or and not worrying about, what we can't control. So I think we've been able to look at the glass half full more than half empty. And that has certainly helped us, transition through this time.
The right mindset will definitely get you places, and having that hope, and it's all going to pay off in the future. How did you get into the field of cross country, track and field, if you haven't answered that yet? And also, what brought you here to Minot?
So I got into running. I think I was in fourth grade. I'm a huge basketball fan, I think like every kid growing up, I wanted to play professional sports. So I had this dream of going to the NBA and all these things. And my older cousin at the time, who I really looked up to, and my uncle, his dad, they were big runners. And our fourth grade elementary school cross country team, they had a fall season, so I decided to go out for it, and my uncle was super excited. He kind of coached me up that summer, took me out to run like 1 mile loops and things like that. So kind of got into it from there, and I ran cross country through elementary school, but I got really serious about it when I was in high school. I kind of gave everything up. From there, I got cut from the basketball team my freshman year, didn't make it. So from then on, my freshman year, I was just all in on trying to be the best runner that I could be. And, whether it was looking up, different training or, just watching races like the Olympics and things like that. I just got super into it. And the internet was not what it is now, but still, I was fortunate enough to grow up, where results were online and you could get, all the news, and you didn't have to wait for like the monthly magazine or anything to come like that out. But my passion just grew from there, and that's when I knew I wanted to run it in college, and that was the next step for me.
There's a noticeable difference in each sport, with cross country having to use pace, and when you're racing on track and field, it has all sorts of events to it, not as straightforward as cross country. But just tell us usually what goes inside the mind of a head coach of these two sports, so like you, for example.
So, in distance running, in cross country, every course is different. And the way, the upper Midwest might be really windy one race, or you might be, some snow on the ground, things like that. So we don't necessarily worry about, pacing, I would say, in a cross country race or splits or anything like that. It's more about competing, what place you're going to finish, because, that's going to help our team score. That's going to help, us finish really high in the NSIC or the region. And then obviously, having individuals, whether it's win or top 10, top 20, things like that. In track, it's the same thing. Definitely is about competing, but I say we're a little more time oriented. So, we definitely focus on splits, what you have to run for each lap, going to some races and aiming for a certain time, things like that. On our throw side and our sprint side, it's really technical. So we're really looking at form. We're looking at, tweaking the little things, whether it's arm swing or the way your shoulders are, and things like that. So it's a combination of a bunch of different things in track and field versus maybe cross country, where it's just kind of like, go and try to beat the guy next to you.
That's pretty much how I've thought of track and field, is that there's much more to it than running, and like you said, with the throwers and all. But what what are you usually telling these guys in preparation for either of the two? I'm sure there are athletes on the team that take up both. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but how's the mindset looking for that?
Yeah, we definitely have athletes that do cross country and track. It's all our distance runners. They compete for 10 months out of all 10 months of the school year. They're never really out of season, so it's definitely a huge commitment for them. And I wouldn't say it's any less of a commitment for our sprinters and our throwers. They get back and in August, and 2 weeks or so into the semester they're practicing. But yeah, the mindset of them, in cross country or in distance, I would say again, it's more of, or my mindset, I should say, is more of, wanting to finish a certain place as a team in the fall. We really emphasize the team aspect, and in track and field, a cross country meet could probably be 2 hours. A track meet could be about 10 hours, where I'm just walking around trying to see how everyone's doing. So it's a little more individualized. We definitely still have a team aspect to it, but we have a guy or gal that maybe could win conference, but the team's only finishing sixth or so. So it's a kind of two different mindsets, but versus team in the fall, and then a little bit more individualistic, come winter and spring.
And having a big roster like this one, there's certainly, like you said, lots to go through. And so what would a normal day be like in the office of Coach Mark?
Yeah, so I'm pretty fortunate, or being in college athletics, your schedule is a little more flexible. So I usually get in anywhere from like 9 or 10 in the fall, and then in the winter we have morning practice at 7 a.m. So I'm usually in about 6:30, just depending on what time of the year it is. But most of the day is spent, in my office or in my assistant's office, just talking about recruiting or paperwork, or, things we got to get done for that day, more administrative type stuff. And then we do definitely focus a portion of that day talking about practice, what we're going to do for workouts, what times we're maybe looking to hit for that specific workout, things like that. In the fall, yeah, probably here till about anywhere from 6:30, 7 p.m. or later. Wrapping up practice and things like that, and sometimes we have a recruiting call or thing. Afterwards. In the winter, it's a little bit it's a lot more hectic. Kind of like you said, the team's a lot bigger, so we have jumps practice, throws practice, things like that, and I'm not necessarily at all of those, but I definitely am trying to keep my ear to the ground and know what the pulse of the team is. So there's a lot more going on, I would say, come January into May versus now until about December.
I'm very fortunate to be on a club on campus with one of the cross-country track and field runners, and I've always heard the stories that, practice with running so many times in the morning, or however long it is. What's a week's worth of practice looking like? I'm kind of curious to know more about that, like in preparing for like a big race or meet coming up.
Yeah, so we practice 6 days a week, which is the max we're allowed to practice with the NCAA. We have, I guess, what we consider easier runs. I guess if you're not a fan of running, every day might be a little bit harder. But we get like Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. Are pretty easy for us. We just kind of get out the door, get the legs moving. Tuesday and Friday we have specific workouts depending on what we're getting ready for, depending on what course we're running, or what the terrain might be, things like that. And then obviously as we get into the later in the season, maybe we're running some faster workouts, trying to sharpen up a little bit. And then Sunday we have what we call the long run, which is huge for me and the way I structure training. So our guys and gals will run anywhere from an hour to 2 hours out there, and kind of at a little bit of a faster pace depending on the week, and really get that what we call time on the legs. So our top guys are going about 19 miles on a Sunday, just trying to develop what we call that aerobic system, developing that engine, because that's really key in distance running if you want to be successful.
And speaking of courses, I see you guys have practiced or ran a little bit at the Duane Carlson Stadium on a few occasions. And seeing that as an MHS alum myself is, I think, really cool to me. With that being really one of the very few outdoor tracks to work with, what's that like being able to take advantage of using property within city borders that go further away from campus?
Yeah, I think we're really fortunate just the way North Dakota is. There's a ton of dirt roads, with not within a short drive. So when using that type of stuff, it doesn't take a while to get anywhere. Where for a distance runner, that's paradise running on softer surfaces versus the concrete. As far as using Minot High's track, they've been great. And letting us use their facility. We're able to get in there anytime just the high school's not using it. It's a great track. They just redid it about a summer ago, I believe. So we're really fortunate to have that right in our backyard, not have to drive too far away, be able to practice on a really solid surface. With the turf going down last summer, everything's been redone. So it really is a first-class facility, and we're really fortunate to have that for us.
I had Roger Coleman on the podcast here yesterday, and he mentioned that all the teams here in town will try to support each and every one. And it also kind of helps that the team will get to know a little bit more about the city and kind of getting a view more outside of Minot State campus. But let's get back to talking about the team. And again, a very sizable roster. That's got to have a role in the recruiting process. How busy can it get for you guys in the recruiting season?
Yeah, it can get pretty hectic. We try to carry a pretty big roster. When I arrived, 2.5 years ago, it was pretty small. And the task that, Andy Carter, when he hired me, was to build the team, build the roster, add some depth. And every year we've been a little bit bigger, but this year we really were fortunate to sign almost 40 people. So it bolstered our roster quite a bit. We actually have more new people than we have returners, which is kind of ironic. But recruiting can get definitely very hectic. There's a huge vetting process on our end, whether that's talking to their high school coaches, looking at grades, looking at their times. That's what stands out to us and why we want to reach out to a certain individual. But I think where we are as a program right now, we really want to find the right type of person that's going to fit, our culture and, our program. We feel like it's really established, or not, we're never fully established, but it's a little bit more established than when I arrived. So this year with recruiting, we're really looking for people that are going to come in and, maybe they aren't your 5-star recruit, but maybe they're a diamond in the rough, but they're really what we're looking for in building this program.
Future is bright, certainly, and it seems like when I paid attention to all the recruiting announcements last semester and in the summer, they just kept coming on and on and on, left, right, and center. Yeah, there are a lot of positions to fill, but you guys proved it right there, locking up loads of talent. Give us the overall summary on this past recruiting process.
Yeah, so we signed, I believe, about 10 or 12 in our fall signing class, and the rest came in the spring, so that was a really hectic time for us. I give all the kudos to my 2 assistant coaches at the time, Ryan Clifford and Tanner Gus. They did a fantastic job of helping me out. It's not just a one-man show, but yeah, it was reaching out to recruits, again, looking at grades, looking at their times, talking to them about, hey, if you're coming from California, just to give you a heads up, you're coming to North Dakota, this is what it's like here. And we signed a very wide-ranging recruiting class. So really kind of letting them know what we're all about, letting them know what our excitement was for what we were building. I think that was a big thing for us. And our coaching staff was, if we had the excitement, hopefully that they could sense that in us and want to be a part of what we were building. So yeah, it was a hectic spring. It felt like every week we were announcing, 4 or 5 more people to our recruiting class. So at the end of the day, I think we got the right people here. It's enhanced everything from day one, just the overall excitement, the vibe when you show up to practice. I couldn't be happier kind of how it turned out.
Yeah, and you mentioned the geography in there. These are commitments coming from everywhere, not just general spots that are you guys are locked in. When searching far for those guys, how is it that you are able to make it possible, and what do you kind of tell them? I think you kind of answered that already, but just give us some more input.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first school that I've been at where we're not necessarily always recruiting regionally. We're able to recruit nationally, and that's been awesome because there may be someone in Florida or California, and we're able to talk about Minot State and Minot, North Dakota, and what we're all about, what the city is all about, and kind of be able to expose them to something new. I think that's been a big thing for me as a head coach, having such a wide ranging roster. Is I tell our team every year that the college experience for me and what we're trying to do here with them is obviously coming here for athletics to get a college education, but also to expose yourself to new people, new things, and different ways of life or different viewpoints. And so it's been awesome to be able to do that. And I think there's a lot of great factors. We offer a fantastic education here, every department, every major. Being in this studio right now, I've never seen anything like it in any other college I've been in. And, our training rooms and, kinesiology and our business school, I just think we're kind of like a hidden gem. And once we're able to really expose people to what we have to offer on the educational side, their eyes get kind of wide. And then, you look at our athletic facilities. Again, this being my third school, this is by far the best place I've been in terms of resources, facilities, locker rooms, gear, things like that. So, when we're able to communicate that to a recruit, wherever they're from, here in North Dakota or California, once we're able to get them on campus, I think they realize we're not just kind of making this stuff up to just get them here. They're like, wow, this is all, you were actually telling the truth the whole time on the phone. And from there, it doesn't take a whole lot of convincing to kind of get them to commit.
There's certainly a good message there, and like you said, once the students actually get to see what Minot State has to offer, and there's still a lot of things that are growing here, and like you said, there's a lot of nice things to accommodate the students here, but I love talking local recruits on here because the familiarity factor and the connection with the state, and even able to lock up some of those close to home athletes. What does that tell the fans about MSU's commitment also to the hometown kids?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely, as much as we want, kids from all over the country and the best talent, there's some fantastic talent here in North Dakota. And so we're always going after them, always trying to reach out to them and let them know, like, hey, we got something special going on here. We want you to be a part of it. And so it's been awesome to, get a kid, whether it's from Minot High or, regionally in the area, to come here. And, usually I would say they've been, fantastic contributors to, our program. Logan Kruger, who's a Minot High graduate, he's been a scorer for us. Ben Austin, he was all conference. He's a Minot High graduate. It's been awesome to have them. And so we definitely still want to show a commitment to, having as much international or national type student athletes as much as we want, local North Dakotans here.
How big of an impact does that also have on the younger high school teammates of these current MSU guys? And would that make them think long and hard of coming to MSU, and maybe any convincing there?
Yeah, certainly we hope so. I think part of, in getting, someone like Logan Kruger to come here is we have an established connection. They hopefully can see that, I was teammates with him in high school. And look what he's doing over at Minot State. So that's exciting to see how far he's come, how far he's developed, and maybe that could be me. So I certainly think it plays to our advantage when we're reaching out to someone and we're like, hey, we know they were your high school teammate. Could you put us in contact with them, or what do you know about them? What insights can you give? So I certainly think it plays, a huge advantage for us when we're looking at the local talent. And I think one thing that I've learned in my 2.5 years here is a lot of these kids know each other, regardless of what school you're from. So it doesn't take much to reach out to, someone from Bismarck Century and say, well, what about, this young gal or young guy from, Legacy High School, or, even Minot High, reaching out to somebody, that's, just down the road. I feel like they all know each other. So it's been great to kind of have that advantage.
Certainly helps to have that connection with all the students and the coaches. And moving on, although no season, but yet you guys still continue to practice hard every day. When the time comes that the season starts back up, what is the message going to the team and expectations riding into it?
Yeah, we had this discussion once over the summer when the NCAA decided to cancel fall championships, and then we had it in person when we got the news that the NSIC was, obviously delaying sports until January 2021. We just want to be prepared. I cannot stress enough, and in all our team meetings that we've talked about, eventually we're going to get out of this pandemic, and we're going to be back competing again, doing what we love. And, I've challenged all of them to just be prepared when that time comes, when you're able to lace up your spikes and put on your uniform and do what you love. Are you going to be fully prepared to embrace that opportunity, or are you going to, look back and say, what if, or I could have done this? And so we've really challenged them to be on the other side of the fence of stepping on that starting line in 2021 and saying, like, I'm ready to run a PR or throw a PR or jump a PR or things like that. And we've, on the cross country side of things, we've developed a fall inter squad schedule to kind of keep them motivated, to kind of have some structure to the season. Because I think when you're just getting out there every day, and no matter what sport you're playing, there's a kind of a sense of, well, I'm working my butt off every day. What's the end game here? So we've tried to give them some goals and some things like that to still make it feel like it's a normal fall, even though I know it's not. And hopefully that will keep the motivation high, for when we actually are able to get back to competition.
Once comeback season gets here, I would think the energy and the adrenaline is going to feel really good for the runners. And we reference the North Dakota High School Activities Association a lot on here after they decided to play all sports. And so have you or the other coaches have been keeping up at all with some of the racing events inside the state? Does that have any trickle-down effect on how you guys look at the potential recruits since you're starting without a college season?
Yeah, I think we're able to dedicate more time to recruiting than maybe if we were just competing this fall, so that's been nice. We're definitely looking at results week to week within North Dakota, and there's a few other surrounding states that are also having cross country. So we're definitely keeping tabs on people that we're talking to. We're trying to identify, obviously, new talent that we want to reach out to. It's hard for us because we've been in what the NCAA deems a quiet period, so we haven't been able to get out to races, but that's gonna or just was lifted. So, but I believe that the North Dakota High School Activities Association, I'm not sure what their regulations are on fans. So we obviously want to follow protocols, make sure we're following what they're asking of us, and we don't want to just randomly show up and feel like we're above the rules or anything like that. But we're definitely keeping tabs through the internet and all those types of things.
If you had the opportunity to speak to them, what advice would you have for the high school senior runners, whether you're looking to bring them in or not?
Yeah, I mean, I would just, tell any high school senior, embrace the opportunity. It's obviously that feeling that they all got when their seasons were canceled last spring. Our student athletes were in the same boat, and, that punch in your gut that certainly stunk to just be like, hey, I've been working my tail off, and now I'm not going to get to showcase, all my hard work. So I my advice to them would be, hey, embrace the opportunity. Every chance you get, give it everything you got. This is your senior year. You only get one. And so, don't look back with any regrets of, what could have been or what you hope to accomplish. And I think if you can do that, no matter what the outcome is, hopefully you can look back and say with some satisfaction and not have any what ifs.
Let's get into the recent coaching hires of George Adams, and my apologies, I'm going to butcher his name probably, but Victor Aboni
Yes,
as well?
that's correct.
Aboni. So this is some big news for the team that just announced recently. What are your thoughts on that, and how excited are you to get working with them?
Yeah, it's been great. Coach Adams, he came. He had a really extensive background in coaching at all levels from high school. Was a Division II athlete at Chadron State in Nebraska. So he's been awesome working with our kids. We have almost a brand new crop of sprinters and jumpers. I think he brings a level of excitement every day for them to want to come and work hard. To want to do your best. And I think he's been a teacher too, so I think that's been helpful for me to kind of have someone with that background when it comes to dealing with, academics or, administrative type stuff. But he's been great to have, on staff thus far. Victor was a student athlete for me my first year here, so I've known him quite a bit, and he was going to be our director of operations. So he's been great, just doing everything we've asked of him, whether that's organizing gear or getting shoes or things like that. And, obviously helping. He's a former thrower, so helping on the throw side of things. I think he has a lot of experience being a former student athlete at Minot State. He can give a lot of insight of what it was like with this program, where it was prior to my arrival. And, and he had some really good accomplishments. He was on the podium at the conference championships and things like that. So both of them, I think, will be tremendous additions to our staff. Coach Ryan Clifford and Coach Tanner Gus are both back. So I'm really excited to work with all of them this upcoming year.
Looking forward to seeing how they turn out and putting in the work with the team. And talk about all of the PRs and the broken records. I mean, for how much we saw recruiting posts on social media here and there had to be the same amount, if not more. Just talking about how crazy it was. How proud are you to be able to see that on a daily basis? Heck, it was pretty much going at a pace at like one per meet or one per race. Give us your thoughts on that.
Yeah, it was definitely an exciting year, and I think that's what made when the season was shut down, that's what made it so hard for all of us. But cross country, we had a fantastic fall on both sides. The men had their highest finishes at the conference and regional championships. We were very young, so looking forward to this fall, we were like, hey, with another year under our belt, we thought we certainly could have kept rising in the ranks. Our women, what a fantastic year they had. I did not see that coming at all. I knew we had some really good recruits coming in. We had added the Franco twins, who had exhausted their soccer eligibility. I knew they were very talented. But they had, every race. I was waiting for a letdown, I guess. You're always kind of waiting for that little bit of disappointment to bring you back to earth, but it never happened. And, every race we went to was just like, this is just a wild roller coaster, and I just never wanted it to end. But they had a fantastic year, and, our goal this year for them was, to obviously try and be the first team to make it to the national championships since we joined Division II on the cross country side of things. Indoor track, yeah, it was just a continuation, I guess. Those same women that were in cross country, they kept doing phenomenally, breaking records. Ashley Franco, Lauren Reeves, Whitney Hansen, Andrea Franco, Nina Arias. They all did a phenomenal job of putting this program on the map on the women's side. Tel Lohmeyer had a fantastic. She was breaking her own record just about every week, re-breaking it. And then on the men's side, Jacob Jensen, he was a freshman last year, and he had some phenomenal PRs. And, we were on the podium in certain events that we hadn't been in the past, so that was exciting. Logan Kruger was on the podium for the first time, things like that. So it really had us excited heading into outdoor season in March. Our coaching staff was just talking like we may get somebody to the national championships outdoors for the first time. We may get more people on the podium. We may get more NCAA qualifiers, things like that. So I just felt like we had this huge ball of momentum rolling down the hill to just come to a sudden stop. But, like I said earlier, we can't control that. And we just kind of had to say, hey, we just got to roll with the punches. So, we lost some people to graduation or exhausting eligibility, and that was obviously a killer for us. But I understand that at the end of the day, some of them, they're not going to be professional track and field athletes. They need to head on into the real world, get a job, and start careers of their own. And so it was sad to see them go, but I'm excited for those people. And at the same time, the people we had coming back, we just tried to reinforce that, this was an opportunity that was taken away from us. But, what we can do is have an attitude that the next time out, whenever that, obviously we were hoping it was the fall, but, now come January that, we're ready, we're prepared to pick up right where we left off.
Phenomenal year building towards the future, and kind of what you just said bridges into my next question. We were lucky to have Devan Shumway here in the broadcasting department. He got involved with the team a lot and doing some nice work, kind of some hobbies for him. But he's now off to Waco, Texas for a great opportunity working for one of the news stations down there. How awesome is it for you to see guys like Devan and all the other grads moving on, doing some amazing work for the next chapter in their lives?
Yeah, specifically talking about Devan, he was a guy that was here when I arrived, and I can't speak more highly enough of that guy. He was bought in from day one, did everything I asked of him. It paid off with a school record in the 8K in cross country, and he was named the NSIC Athlete of the Week. I think it's been the only one in the entire program since we joined Division II. But I can't speak more highly of the type of young man that he is, and all he brought to our program. He was a fantastic leader, leading by example. He got all the guys on the same page. As I said, last fall we were really young. We had a lot of freshmen, and he was there to corral them all the time and get them to buy into what I was saying or what I was asking of them. I knew he was always someone that I could rely on. I've been doing this for 8 years now, and so I have quite a few student athletes, both post Minot State and post other schools that I guess are in the real world, having careers of their own. Some of them have kids, gotten married, and I said to our team at the beginning of this year that the best part of coaching for me isn't the 3 or 4 years that you're here, running for me. It's really, post college, because I'm able to be a little bit more of a friend than a coach. And I'm able to, check in and see how things are going, catch up with you. And it's been a joy to see so many of them, pursue careers that they absolutely love, that they have a passion for. Because I think, I'm fortunate to do something I love, and I want to see that same thing for them. So, it's been awesome to kind of see that happen as they all grow up. It's kind of funny to hear them once they are in the real world, all the things I warned them about, paying rent, having to do the laundry, or all these things that they maybe took for granted, cooking, things like that. I just sit back and laugh and say, hey, I told you, to stay in college for as long as you could, because the real world, it's a cruel place out there. But no, it's been awesome, and I try to keep tabs or keep in touch with as many as I can.
Yeah, it certainly helps to keep those connections with your the former teammates and athletes that you coached. And like you said, the friend aspect, that's got to be a good thing, and just a good feeling to have there. Well, we got all sorts of professional sports going on with the NFL season opener tonight. You got any plans to watch and or some predictions on some of the games in the 4 major pro leagues going on?
Yeah, I've been trying to watch the NBA. I'm kind of a bandwagon Golden State Warriors fan from when I lived in the Bay Area. I'll admit it's bandwagon. I grew up outside of New York City, so I'm not as into it as maybe I was the last 3 or 4 years, but it's just so weird to me because obviously the NBA season and the NHL season, they end usually in June. So part of me, especially in the NHL side of things, I have no idea where anything is or where they are in the Stanley Cup playoffs. The NBA, I'm trying to kind of keep up and see where the series are and, who's leading what. NFL, yeah, I'll definitely probably tune in tonight. I'm not a Chiefs or Texans fan, so but I'll probably watch a little bit of it. During when the pandemic first hit, TV was so boring. There was nothing to watch.
Oh, yeah.
I was watching like Netflix or whatever. I was getting into TV shows I never thought I'd get into, and so yeah, it's definitely nice to just turn on the TV, and sometimes I just have it on as background noise while I'm on the computer or something. But I'm more of an endurance sport fan, and the Tour de France is going on right now. So
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
so every night I've been going home and just whether it's watching podcasts or recaps or things like that. So that's been one thing I definitely have kept up with these last week and a half or so.
There you go. Nothing wrong with the Tour de France. It's definitely some high competitive nature out there. And I got a really good question that I ask everyone. If you could quarantine with a famous pro athlete, coach, or celebrity, who would it be, and why would you choose them?
Ooh, is it just one I have to pick?
You can pick as many as you'd like, actually. Yeah.
I guess coach. That's a great question. I'm a Duke basketball fan. Jay Williams also went to my high school, so I've been kind of a Duke fan since I entered ninth grade. But I'd probably quarantine with Coach K. Would be one of them. Just kind of pick his brain of he took over that program in rather obscurity, and now they're brand name in college basketball. The other one, I'm a huge fan of Friday Night Lights, so I probably wouldn't quarantine with the actor himself, but I'd love to quarantine with Coach Taylor and him and just chat with him. And then probably the last person is I really got into Yellowstone this past summer. I guess it was one of those quarantine shows out of pure boredom. I watched one episode and then just got into it, but probably Rip, who's played by Cole Hauser. Probably quarantine with those three people.
Coach Mark, it was a pleasure having you. Thanks for coming on today. Anything else you want to quickly mention to the fans before we get off here?
No, thank you for having me. It's the first time I've ever done something like this, so it's been pretty awesome. And yeah, to everyone listening, I just we're very appreciative of all the support. Not only for the cross country and track and field programs, but all of Minot State athletics. And we hope once we get going that we'll see you out at a game or in the stands.
Certainly happy to hear that. And where can people follow you on social media?
Yeah, so I'm a big Twitter guy. You can follow me on Twitter at Mark Delmonico is my Twitter name, and then I'm on Instagram as Coach Delmonico. So those are probably the two that I frequent the most in terms of talking about the team and things like that. And then we're pretty active on our team accounts. MSU Beavers XCTF on Twitter and Minot State XCTF on Instagram. So,
and we will also get that taken care of on the podcast previews as soon as we are able to. But that was head coach Mark Delmonico of MSU Cross Country Track and Field coming on the podcast for episode 2 of the MSU Coaches series. You can follow the podcast on social media through Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And same goes for KMSU TV and radio. Minot sports fans, be on the lookout for KMSU's weekly show called MSU Inside Out, getting ready to debut in the next couple of weeks here. There will be news, sports, weather, and if we're lucky, we'll also have interviews. Check out some of the other fine KMSU personalities, Joshua Strong Photography, and the MSU Red and Green newspaper, also on social media. Once again, a big thanks to Coach Mark. I will see you guys later, and stay healthy out there.